Mr. Wertheimer. Next, we turn to the Honorable Bradley Smith.
Thank you, Chairman Klobuchar, Ranking Member Blunt, and members of the committee. S1, I think, is frankly a cynical bill. This 800-page bill is not for the people, it's for the politicians. Note that as we meet here today, if a citizen went to congress.gov to try to learn what this bill was about, he would be met with this message. As of March 24th, 2021, the text has not been received for S1. This rush forward with a lengthy and complex bill suggests a desire to make sure that few of the American people actually understand its impact. But the insiders understand it. Yesterday, in a training session on how to pressure senators to pass S1, held by an ad hoc group called Declaration for Democracy, a Democratic U.S. senator expressed his belief that S1 would eliminate 2/3 of the speech critical of the progressive agenda. And speaker after speaker noted that S1 was needed because it would silence voices that question the progressive agenda and thus make that agenda easier to pass. The cynicism for the Politicians Act is highlighted by two provisions. The first is the point just noted by Mr. Wertheimer that the bill claims not to use taxpayer money to fund elections. It then immediately sets up a system using taxpayer money to fund elections. The bill provides that the system will be paid for with fines, penalties, and the sale of government assets. But all of this is taxpayer money, and all of us know that. How cynical is it to claim that the funds of the U.S. government are not taxpayer money, like they're just magical funds that are somehow there? Next is the change in the FEC from a bipartisan organization to an agency under partisan control. How cynical is this? All morning long through the first panel, I listened to one member after another of this committee insist that we had to pass S1 to do away with partisan redistricting. But apparently we need to pass S1 to get partisan enforcement of campaign finance laws. If I wanted to foster distrust in American elections, I could think of few better ways to do it than to change the FEC from a bipartisan to a partisan organization. S1 will put the FEC under effective partisan control of the Democratic Party through at least the 2026 midterms, longer if a Democrat is elected president in 2024. Now, the cynical claim that this is not true because one member will be independent. But we know that there are independents, and then there are independents. For example, currently the Republicans hold a 50-48 majority in the Senate, which is why Chairman Blunt opened this meeting, and I'm here as a majority. No, wait, that's not right, is it? That's because the body's two independent senators caucus with the Democrats, and I think it's fair to say that one of those two, Senator Sanders, is further from the typical Republican than is the typical Democrat. Indeed, the FEC technically has an independent now, but he caucuses with the Democrats, was former Democratic leader Harry Reid's attorney, and was appointed to a Democratic seat on the commission on Senator Reid's recommendation. It's cynicism, raw cynicism, to try to claim that this is not a partisan power grab at the FEC. Now, the first defense of every rogue violator of campaign finance laws is that the FEC is on a partisan witch hunt. And the response we all know immediately, and I've heard it from Mr. Potter, I've heard it from Mr. Wertheimer, is the commission is bipartisan. Got to have bipartisan majority. If S1 passes, of course, this will be gone. And if you want to create cynicism, I think having a partisan enforcement body is a good way to do it. Of course, this new partisan FEC will have lots of new rules to write and enforce. Your opening statement, Madam Chair, was correct that the Supreme Court has upheld disclosure, but it was incorrect to suggest, as has been suggested here and by others on this panel, that any particular proposals in this act have Supreme Court support. To the contrary, numerous Supreme Court decisions have limited past attempts to expand disclosure in the sort of ways included in this bill. Specifically, S1 would unconstitutionally regulate speech that mentions a federal candidate or elected official at any time under a vague, subjective, and dangerously broad standard that asks whether the speech promotes, attacks, supports, or opposes PASO. This would, in effect, leave the media, which is exempt, in even greater control of public discourse and messaging. But the focus of the bill on identifying who is speaking is also bad for democracy. We should be focusing on issues rather than on individuals and contributors to organizations so that those people can be doxxed and personally attacked, exacerbating the politics of personal destruction and further coarsening political discourse in our country. There's a lot more bad in this bill. I could go on for some length, but my time is nearing an end. So we'll leave it to say that a detailed analysis of its provisions is available at www.ifs.org by the Institute for Free Speech and in my prepared comments, and I look forward to questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.